Hey everyone, welcome to Making Waves, our semi-regular series where I talk to our wonderful users about the wonderful things they built with Make. My name is Michaela, I'm the community manager here at Make, and today I am talking about automating podcast distribution with David Zisner, who is the founder and CEO of LeAndolini Solutions. Hey David.
Hey,
So
Michaela,
lovely to
you
have you
got
here.
you got both my name and the company name right. That's great.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
an
I'm so
achievement.
proud. Well, okay. Well, I'm very proud of myself at this very moment.
You should be.
Well, it's a real pleasure to have you here, David. It's always the best when I talk to you. So much fun. So
Great to
yeah,
be
like I
here as
said,
well. And we've been talking about the session for quite some time now, and I think we're both pretty psyched to kind of pass this forward.
exactly. I'm so excited about this. You have the best stories to share, so let's dive into it. So yeah, like I said, David, founder and CEO of LeAndolini Solutions. Here we have the lovely team and
Not
this
all of it,
quote.
by the way. Not
Not
all of it.
all of it.
No,
Oh,
this picture is lacking, but not all of it. But
huh.
that's on me. I had to get a picture of everyone.
Well, how many of you are there then?
We're currently 7.
7. Okay, well that's quite a team then. Well, we
Yeah.
need to. Well, we're gonna have to do another session then in the future where you have a picture of everyone, I
Would
guess.
would love to.
Wonderful. Well, and we have this quote here that makes it very clear that you know a thing or two about automation. I wouldn't say I'm exaggerating if I say that you really are a pioneer in automation in Israel,
Thank you.
right? So before we dive in, I would like to ask this like random question. Do you remember the very first automation that you ever built?
Actually, I do. It was around that year, around 2013. I come from engineering. I'm an engineer, and my company used to provide like technical automation services, R&D development for high-tech companies. When I discovered automation way back in 2013, it really caught my eye. Like I want to be part of this, and it was also basic back in those days. But even doing something basic was amazing. And I remember I was part of a group of business owners. We would communicate, we would help each other, and I just got to know automation. And what I got to know was IFTTT, if this then that, if you know it, and Zapier back in those days. So one of the first things I want, and I started playing with it, and I didn't understand the potential, but I did understand I'm seeing something really, really cool. And I wanted to show my friends, my colleagues, something cool that you can do with automation. So I told them, let's do a webinar. I'll show you a tool called IFTTT, and it's free, and you don't have to. It's really easy to use. You don't have to be a programmer. And we got online, and I showed them. I shared my screen. I showed them use case. I showed them, listen, look, this is my website. This is our WordPress website. I'm now going to build an automation that whenever I post something, when I publish a post to our WordPress website, it's going to upload as a post on Facebook, on a page or whatever. So I built that. It was really simple. And I told him you can also do the other way around. You can also do that whenever you have a new post on Facebook. You can have that as an article, as a post on your WordPress website, which is the dumbest thing you can do, right? You don't want to do it. Doesn't make any business sense, but I didn't know anything though. So I built these two things up, and I showed them, listen, hey, look, I'm creating a post here on Facebook. Listen on website, and I explained this, some other stuff. And then at some point, I started looking at the Facebook feed and also the website, and there was just duplications of the same post was duplicated over and over, and more duplications were created. And it took me a while to realize that I actually created a loop, because everything I put on WordPress automatically created a post on Facebook, and everything I put on Facebook created. So I created like an infinite loop that took that Facebook page up to a huge. So that was one of the first things I automated. I kind of got to appreciate the importance of QA and design after
Well,
that.
I love that. I love that. I know that people often, like when it comes to Make, people often ask about this two-way sync, and this is exactly where this usually gets them, the infinite loop. Yeah. Well, that's a great story, and thanks for sharing. Now, you were talking about FTTT and Zapier, obviously, back then. Now, when do you remember, when was the first time you heard about Make? I'm assuming Integromat back then.
Yeah, Integromat back in the day. It was, I think it was around the time that Integromat kind of went online, or got a bit of more exposure, because it was around 2017, I think. And if I remember correctly, the first version of Integromat came online. The commercial version came online around 2016. So I think it was pretty much near the beginning. It was through the Israeli automation community. It's a really vibrant community and really innovative as far as stuff that people are doing. So the word on, hey, there's a new platform here, got out there, and I looked at it, and it was interesting, right? I was used to something else. I was used to Zapier, and we have a very strict editor, and things are done in a very specific way. So that open canvas of Integromat, at first it was a bit intimidating, I have to say, but kind of going step by step towards it pretty quickly, we fell in love with it, and we're doing stuff with Make today that it really is the alternative to that would be just to have a programmer on staff and just writing endless code, because that's a level of complication for the stuff that we're building, and we're doing that because we're trying to solve bigger and bigger business problems or business challenges. So we love Make. We really love what it enables us to do. Now, my entire team, none of us are developers or programmers. We can script, but it's not our cup of tea. Really love the fact that we can invest the time in sitting with the client, understanding their business needs, understanding their business flow, suggesting how to improve that, and then makes the implementation of that so much faster than the head we had to have to be able to program that ourselves or have a programmer on staff. So we love that.
I love that you're mentioning like literally everything I would be saying if I was like talking about our product, but I don't have to do it because you're doing it. And it's not like this is not scripted, which is really good.
No, it's definitely not. It's the best thing in the world when your clients are selling your product. I used to swim for many years with a total immersion school. It's an international swim school. And I was such an avid salesman, although I wasn't on the payroll. I just love what it did to my life. So
that's amazing.
We're doing that with Make now.
That's what businesses strive for, right? To have advocates.
Fans.
Exactly. Well, let me just move on a bit so that we get to your fun, super cool story, right? So this is the podcast that is the story, the star of today's story. Would you like to tell us something about the podcast?
I would love to. Our podcast is in Hebrew, as anyone who doesn't read Hebrew knows, and those who do as well. It's called Medabrim Automatia, Talking Automation. And it's a dream we've had for a long time, and partner and not she's in this picture. We've had this dream of a podcast because ever since we always had this like itch that whenever we saw something new or interesting in our field, in automation or platforms or tools and stuff like that, we would have to tell the world about it. And so we create content and articles, and we do webinars and like courses and training and stuff like that, because some things were just too good to be kept to ourselves. And we were always, filling with the idea of having a podcast because we have material that's technical. We have material that's that teaches you like the business thinking of what we bring to the table for when you want to automate a process. But there's something about the audio format of really taking a subject and deep diving into it, and we love to deep dive into stuff that we wanted to do for a very, very long time now. The point where it started coming true was the point where we actually paid a company to start producing the podcast for us. Till then, it would have been still a dream. We would not be having this talk. But when we put our money where our mouth is and paid a company to lead us through the strategy and name finding and branding and the first initial episodes, it came true. And on August 31st, 2022, right at the beginning of the school year, we went live with 3 episodes. And we're now at we just published episode 17. Maybe by the time this goes out, also 18. We have a couple of more episodes in our backlog. But it really was something that we wanted for a long time. And it really fills us with energy whenever we have to think, who are you going to interview next? Because we're talking about automation, not from a strictly technical point of view, but really more from a business development point of view. And for us, it's fascinating.
Well, that sounds great. And now I feel really sorry for myself because I don't speak Hebrew, so I can't listen to the podcast.
We have clients that teach Hebrew. We've done amazing automations with them. They have courses.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a challenge for sure. I'm putting it on into my backlog right here. But this is great, and congratulations on your dream coming true. But how true did it come? I mean, this is why we're here, right?
Yeah, this is basically why we're here. So like I said, we went live on August 31st. And at the end of the year, we didn't know that because it's our first year podcasting. But at the end of the year, Spotify sent all the users what they call a Spotify Wrap. They wrap the year for you. But if you have a podcast, they send you something else. It's called Wrap for Podcasters, where they send you the end of year stats for your podcast. And I got it. It was cool. I love colorful things jumping at me, and I started going through they give you various stats and stuff like that. We'll see more towards the end. But this one, it literally blew my mind. I came to this stat that we're seeing right now, and I just stopped because, like it says here, what Spotify says, it was what our podcast was the 20% most shared globally podcast. Now, let that sink for a second. We're in Hebrew. We're on a niche subject. It's not like personal development that's much more widespread. It's business automation, business development in Hebrew. And it was only live for 1 quarter. We went live like at the end of August. So it blew my mind. I was so moved. I was so excited when I saw this. I immediately started taking screenshots of the phone, so I won't lose this image. But at the same time, I understood that it's not coincidental. I mean, it's not a coincidence that we got to this point. And that was also what made me tell you, because we've been obviously in touch since we met at the IntegraMed offices back in the day. I thought this is something that could be of value to the community, because what we did do was take the podcast and take our content and build a distribution strategy around it that was based on Make.
Exactly. And, just we're going to dive into the story in a second, but this is really huge. And I just wanted to say congratulations. This is incredible. Like my wraps up looks completely different. I had just like a bunch of songs. Oh, it was pretty boring.
But it's such a great an ingenious viral tool for Spotify to do that, because you get so I'm assuming they always found something good to tell everyone almost. I have also a small podcast with my son. It didn't get any stats because it doesn't have any listeners.
That's so cute, though.
It's called Parents to Heroes, Horim legiborim, and it's about talking about superheroes and stuff, like me and my son. So it's really fun. But this one won't have any stats at all. No one hears it. So
well, but still, it's like if adorability, I don't think that's a word. Cuteness was a stat in these measurements that you would have like 100%. That's for sure. Anyway, so let's jump into the actual story. I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna very, very briefly describe what the challenge was, and then you're gonna take us for the spin, right? So we have, and please correct me if I'm wrong, so we have a podcast that's streamed across multiple platforms, and we need to promote each episode of this podcast across multiple channels with a different URL because of for tracking purposes.
Right?
That's quite a task.
Yeah, well, some of it is already solved for us, right? So there are platforms that integrate with the you don't need to upload your episodes to each of those platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, because there are already platforms that are doing that for you. So you upload them, and they're integrated with the actual podcast distribution platforms. So that's okay as long as you work with one. But whenever if you have any piece of content online and you get it to the right place, it still doesn't matter. No one knows that it's there. So what we knew from the get-go is that it's obviously our responsibility to make sure that people know about it. Now, we have our email list, our newsletter, that we're managing and sending relevant newsletters on automation, on stuff like that. We have our LinkedIn, we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook groups, we have the places where we know the people that are interested in our content reside. So, but getting each new episode has to go there and has to be distributed to those channels. And for some, it could be others or Instagram, etc. But you also want to be able, like you said, to track where it came from, where the traffic came from, and kind of learn and kind of analyze your own information. So it ends up that you have like 4 links to each episode for the different platforms, and you have to distribute those in different in several different platforms. And the main thing that we decided at that point that we want to do is we want to give everyone the option to go to our website, where we have a page that's also created by automation for each new podcast episode. We automated that as well. And each episode, each time that we direct someone there, we want the link directing there to be coded to the platform where they came from. So we would know that traffic came from LinkedIn or traffic came from Facebook or WhatsApp or stuff like that. So that's something that in the past I used to kind of neglect. It doesn't matter, but I know how important it is now. You know, you grow mature a bit in your understanding of marketing. So that was something that was also important for us. I will say that we also knew that we're talking about distribution here. There's also the entire process of the podcast production, which we also want to automate the most out of. I don't think we'll be touching upon that in this session. I think we'll just be touching upon distribution, but it was really looking at the entire process from end to end.
We should have an entire series on purely podcast automation, clearly.
Sure.
But yeah, that's something to consider. It's a great idea, actually. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna let you talk now and look impressed and be impressed with everything that you built. So yeah, what about this preparation stage?
So the preparation is really getting to understand, and we've done a lot of obviously of automations in the past, and also we have for our students in our automation course, we have the content that we're creating, which is usually video content, that we've kind of got to understand how we want to, it helps us understand how we want to organize stuff and how we want to automate that. So we have already like an automated production and distribution for that, for the content to our students. So the first thing that we realized we understood, and I think we'll talk about it in the next slide, is that everything has to be organized. And I think the basis for every good automation process is you have to understand what is the heart of the system. Where is the place where your data resides? Where is the place that actually creates the most triggers, to the automation lingo, to the other places? So we understood we want to organize everything in a single place, and we'll talk about it in the next slide, what our pick for that was. And also we want to automate as much of it as possible. For when we just went live, I said, and I manually created links for the different platforms because it was our first time going live. We had so much on our head, we didn't have time to build the system for that. And it was a nightmare. So I told myself, okay, cool, August 31st, we're going live. I never want to do this again. This is where I'm like sitting and shortening links and stuff like that with Bitly. So really understanding that you have to get all your information organized in a single place and in the correct manner. And that's the basis for everything that you can automate. Also, I came to realize, as much as we are automation geeks and automation freaks, there are things that I will need manual intervention. Now, once again, I'm only talking about the distribution part. I'm not talking about the editing. I'm not talking about everything that came before that. But the place where I drew the line was our newsletter, was our email list. Because to all platforms, I decided from the get-go that I wanted it to be fully automated. So posts will be created, links will be created, everything will be posted. But the newsletter is that much more delicate. It's an email that goes out to several thousand people. I don't want that fully automated. I want my eye on it, and I want myself doing stuff. So I realized that I want to have it semi-automated. So I want I want Make to do all my heavy lifting, but I will be the one who ends up publishing it. And that's what happened now. We'll show you obviously the scenario, but everything that's done for the social networks is 100% fully automated. Everything that's related to our email list creates everything for me to upload all the heavy lifting. And it takes me about 15 additional minutes to go through it, align, make sure that everything looks good, looks well, and decide when I want to publish it. So it really is important to decide what's going to be fully automated, what's going to be semi-automated, and what's going to be on merely systemized. Even in systemizing stuff, like what's our workflow and our procedure, creating a system out of that, even if it's people doing that, that is also of great value to this, because everything you can systemize, you can duplicate, and you can then automate.
100%. Yeah. I love that.
So we also, what I realized that I want to be able to, whatever we're doing and whatever we're if we're collaborating with the podcast, with people or with other stuff, I want to make sure that we're leveraging every action that we're doing. Where that mostly came is when it relates to the content that we're actually to the copy and the wording for the posts and for the emails and stuff like that. So I really wanted to leverage what we're doing and try to be interesting at the same time to our viewers, obviously.
Makes total sense. Yeah. Well, I cannot, if it's okay, I'm gonna move over to the next slide, because I am super pumped to see the actual solution. Like, oh, damn. Okay, here we go. So I'm just gonna say, and like very, 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 the easy way for me is to say is you build a management solution in Airtable that stored for the podcasts of the episodes of the podcast, right? Yeah. And you build a distribution system with Make that would then help with the actual promotion. Well, and with this, I am going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to let you walk us through the magic, because that's going to be the super fun part, right?
Would love to.
There we go.
Okay, share my screen. All right. So this is our main Make scenario. Like I said, we have additional scenarios as well, handling stuff, and you're also seeing HTTP calls that are calls to other scenarios. I'll explain that. But basically, this is our distribution system, and this is what we've implemented to handle the. I think there were branches added later, if I remember correctly. We just started with like 3, and we said, "Oh, we can do this, we can do that," and we did it. But basically, this is our distribution system. So I kind of like give you the zoom out of what we're doing here. We can then dive a bit into the branches and details and what we're doing. Some of it I'm not sure I even remember, but we'll go into it. But basically, we have, like I said, we have everything organized in Airtable, and our editor and the team is working in Airtable and updating stuff, and we have all the editing instructions, and all the content goes up there, the visual content and the audio content. And then when everything is ready, we decide when we want the episode to be distributed. That is a field that we manage inside Airtable per episode. Like, what is the distribution date? The way we designed it in Make is that we have this scenario that is triggered daily at the same hour, and it checks, are there any new episodes that are up to be published today? Okay. Now we could have done that. We could have saved operations by doing the trigger inside Airtable and throwing a webhook, like episode published time, episode date is today. Throw a webhook. What we would have to do there is kind of delay the entire process, because that would be triggered at midnight. So if we were going strictly by date, that would be triggered at midnight. Obviously, we don't want people getting messages in our social like midnight. Hey, we're live. Like, leave us alone. Go to sleep. So we had an option to either throw a webhook to a timing system. We can do something in PyDream where you can have a scheduler. We've done that on several projects, but we kind of picked to do it right here as not the most task efficient, operation efficient, but it's good enough cost for value. So we're wasting a couple of operations each month. Make is cheap enough. Don't raise the prices. Make is cheap enough for us to take that kind of assumption on ourselves. So whenever this scenario is triggered, obviously we're checking if we have any bundles coming through, meaning any Airtable records that are signaling a new episode is up for distribution. And basically what we do is we take the links themselves. We use Bitly. We're also we're using our own URL shortener. Okay, we have our own URL shown that we set up because to save on our Bitly billing, but I haven't touched this one. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the link to the episode on the different platforms and really and creating a short link that we can later put on social. Because if you're putting a link in a newsletter, you're putting it behind text like press here. It doesn't matter if it's a short link or not. But if you're doing that on social, you want that to be you want it to be as short as possible. So we're kind of doing that for all the different links. Like I said, 4 different platforms. And you have to understand that as a prerequisite of that, we need the links to the actual episodes inside Airtable. So we have an automation that does that as well. It pulls the links and everything, it puts that into Airtable, then we know it's good to go. Each one of these branches is actually a medium or a channel where we distribute our content. Now, people are used to working with routers as like this or this or this, like an if and an if else for their flows. You do that as well. But here it's mainly for so we can, let's say I want to shut down a specific channel. Don't send this one on WhatsApp. I can just go here. This is an amazing feature. I love it. Do disable route. You don't have to unlink or something. And so we have full control of all the different channels by ourselves. So basically what we're doing in each one of those, and I'll talk about the actual wording, the actual copy that we're using, but we are taking and creating a short link to our website. Remember, I told you that we're mostly directing people to our website where they can see all the episodes, they can subscribe for reminders, and when they get there, I want to know in our analytics where they came from. So I'm actually creating a link to the website per each one of these channels. Okay. And then we've done something interesting because we knew that we were going to obviously post it on social for each new episode. And when you're posting something on social, there's importance to the wording, to what you're actually writing. You know, you're not just saying link, episode, go. You're trying to make it attractive. And the immediate thing would have been to like put in the content here. Hey guys, there's a new episode for our podcast. It's called this, it's called that. But I realized very early on, it's something also to do with our clients, that I would like to have that content not be always the same thing, because people are bored of reading the same thing all the time. So remember what we talked previously about leveraging?
Yes.
So one of the things that I wanted to do is I said, okay, if we're gonna create copy for the different platforms, I want to leverage it as much as possible and really use not have that content embedded inside Make, and really like Make creates the content and uploads it to Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. I actually wanted, I want to create a repository, like a repository of content, of posts that each time my automation will pick a different one out of that. And I created a repository, like a list of posts for Facebook, a list of posts for LinkedIn. It could be a bit different, list of posts for WhatsApp. And I think today we would attempt, if we were courageous, to do that with AI, with maybe with ChatGPT. I'm still hesitant because, you know, when something is automated, I need to know for 100% that it's good. And it comes out on our name. So I'm not sure I would do that. Perhaps let AI suggest the content for me, but not really post it automatically. But what we're actually doing here is calling a different scenario, which I won't go into, that goes into our Airtable and says, give me a random out of all the pieces of content we have for LinkedIn or for WhatsApp or for Facebook, pull one. So I can have 3 pieces of structures of a copy for a post, or I can have 10, or I can have 100. Each time it will take a random one. So we're doing that here. We're saving it in a data store and then pulling it out. I have no idea what this does. Oh, okay. So this is one of the things. Obviously, the name of the episode, the number of the episode, the weekday, the whatever changes per episode. So with a huge we're replacing the placeholder that we're putting in our content with the actual information for that episode. So episode num is the number of the episode pulled from Airtable for that specific episode. Website link, the same description. We have a very detailed description. I can show you later what this post actually looks like when it goes live. So we're kind of doing inside, and it's also something I like about Make, that you can do a lot inside like one action. So we're actually pulling all the text and converting it and changing everything with a specific links, etc. And then this is repeated obviously per channel. And here we start the actual distribution. So this route takes care of sending WhatsApp reminders to people who've subscribed. So we're using an API for sending WhatsApp messages. This one goes and posts on Facebook. So we have about 4 Facebook groups that we're managing, where we want the content to go automatically. Then manually, I can go and also and also share it from my personal profile. We're also creating in Airtable the content for the Facebook post. So whenever an episode goes live, I don't have to start thinking about what am I going to upload from my personal profile on Facebook. I have the content in Airtable. I do copy paste to my profile, maybe change a couple of things at the last minute, but all the links are there. Everything is coded for Facebook, and that's a semi-manual, semi-automated part. But all Facebook groups that we're managing, it's completely automated with Make. We do something similar with LinkedIn. We do it for LinkedIn for my profile, for Anat's profile, and also for the company company page. And what does this one do? Oh, and this one takes care of the newsletter. Remember, I told you that for the newsletter, I don't want it to be fully automated. The newsletter, the system we're working with called Smooth, which we really love, it supports full automation. So I have an API for creating and sending a newsletter, but I don't want to do that. So basically what I'm doing is like pulling the content for the email, arranging all the links and everything, saving everything inside Airtable, and just sending myself an email. Hey, go to Airtable, pull the post, and create the newsletter. Man, that's a 15 minutes work that I do invest for making sure the newsletter is perfect. We also have another channel. This one takes care of the Facebook post that we get it and then upload manually. And last but not least, we're creating a link specifically for our guest. And then it sends me the link on WhatsApp so I can send it to our guest, say, hey, our episode went live. You want to distribute it? Here's your personal link, and then it's colored to guest. Now, I could do that fully automated as well and send them the link, because obviously we have the guest details inside Airtable. But these are the places where I'm really seeking the personal touch. And from what we're seeing, we're not a mega corporation. We're small, and everyone that we interview, either we know them before, or we get to know them and get to become friends after we interview them to our podcast. So I really love that personal aspect of it, and really saying to them, hey, your episode went live. They're really excited for that. So this is basically it. Like I said, we have another scenario on Meg that's called from here that does that picks the random content piece of post for each one of the platforms. But I don't think it's that important to show it here because it's a technical one. But I think what's more important is really understanding the big picture and where we wanted to go with this. So this is it.
Wonderful. No, I just I knew I was going to be impressed. I am impressed.
Thank you.
It's perfect. No, I really like. I really like. I expected big things, so I'm like, yeah, it's big. But also, I really like what you said. Like, you're an automation. Like, automation makes your money, right? But you still understand that it cannot do everything, and then the personal touch is something that needs to stay in human communication, right? So that's really nice that you said
I actually don't want it to do everything. I think that if it just has to do what I hate and what I'm really bad at. I mean, I hate like shortening links and stuff like that, and I'm really bad at like remembering to do all the stuff that needs to be done. So I'll design the automation that takes care of what I hate and what I'm really bad at, and I'll leave automation to do what I'm good at, which is like telling a wonderful guest, hey, your episode is ready, here's your link, want to distribute it. So I think that's a perfect balance.
Well, it definitely sounds like it. Do you you said that for the first episode, unless I'm wrong, you did this manually? Do you remember how approximately, do you have an estimate of how much time this beauty is saving you?
Oh, wow. Just thinking of what am I going to write on Facebook, on LinkedIn,
True.
and I want to do it now because the episode, many people listen to the episode before they even get our reminder, because Spotify and the other platforms, they tell you you like get notification on a new episode. So you want to get the word out you want to get the word out as fast as you can after the episode is published. So had I not had the automation and I had to sit and write something for Facebook, write something for LinkedIn, shorten all the links, time-wise, it would take me, I think, at least an hour and a half per episode. But energy-wise, it would kind of make me hate my podcast. And I know that because we have, like I said before, that we're creating content for our students and video content and lessons as part of our library. And I built this podcast distribution system after we built our own management system for all our video content. And I knew what I hated to do there. I knew that I hated to be dependent on the editor. I knew that when one of our students would say, "Hey, I missed Wednesday's session. When could I see it?" And I would start fumbling because I would need to know when the editor would work on it. Then it would have to update it on Airtable. So we automated that to perfection. And it gives you the motivation whenever you do something like that, and you kind of take everything that you hate to do and that you're bad at and make them disappear and get them automated. It gives you a huge motivation to create more content. And we're really psyched about our podcast. We're always just, we're focused on how do we refine our process. And this is also something that I should tell people here that are listening to it. It's a gradual process. Don't be intimidated by everything you have to do. It's gradual. You do one thing. We set ourselves a goal where for each new episode, we improve our process by one thing. So first of all, it gives us like leeway to many episodes because there's a lot to be done. And I think AI might go into there, as really something that would improve. But you can't do everything. And you really need, you need to focus on creating good content. You need to focus on doing something. You need to focus on doing the work. So you can't do everything, but you can always find just one thing that would make your life that bit easier. So it's a long answer to a short question. Time-wise, it saves us at least an hour and a half per episode. But energy-wise, we would not have a podcast if we didn't have it. Or we would have a podcast and we just put the episodes live and pray that someone gets to it. We definitely would not get to be in control of our distribution.
I love this answer. That's for sure. And I love that you're saying that you need to do everything. You don't need to, sorry. You don't need to do everything at the same time, because I tend to strive for perfection, and I know it's stupid and it's like non-existent, and it's like my like challenge all the time. So I love that you're saying.
I think it's also your understanding of what perfection is in that specific context changes, because when we didn't have that, perfection could be just have someone shorten the links for me and send them to me by email. Then you have that, and perfection would be like have like the actual content created for me, and I'll just copy paste it to social. And now we have this, and next stage, like I say, it could be the AI part of it, and perfect. The definition of perfect changes, and it's like it's like a horizon. It's like something you always try to approach but never get to. But you just have to get going. We did a session to our students called The Evolution of Automation, where I actually explained the content of how we create the content for the course and how we automated that. And it's a 5-part, it's a 5 piece process that we perfected over about 3 years. Each time improving, sometimes not improving anything, just creating the content, but really trying to, when we see something problematic, just, okay, how can we improve upon that?
I love that. Well, anyway, I mean, I can listen to you talk all day, but I think
stop my screen share.
Yes, I mean, it's one beautiful scenario, that's for sure. But let me just get back to these slides. So yes, we've just covered that, and this, like, we've already seen a part of this, right? So this is the result of all this hard work.
It's mind-blowing.
Now, how, indeed, it's truly like, this is, how did, when you saw this, you said you started taking screenshots, which is, that's the smart thing to do.
Quick, before someone realizes it's a mistake, I have to get the screenshot.
But how? What were? Do you remember what your first thought or feeling was like? Because this is like totally unexpected, right? Because you don't even know this is possible.
No, come on, we're in Hebrew. We're on business automation in Hebrew. We're supposed to be like appealing to the Israeli small automation community and stuff like that. By the way, we're also seeing stats. I don't have them here, but we're also seeing stats of people listening to us from the US, from the UK.
Oh,
Now, obviously, they're Israelis. Okay,
makes sense.
I'm not under the impression that Americans are listening to English-speaking Americans are listening to our podcast, but the word got out. So, and we also have a former client of us who's from Australia. We know she's listening because she's getting the reminders. She's always saying thank you. But it was really, it just showed you the power of, showed me the power of eliminating what gets in your way, because doing manually what we did for the first 3 episodes, it would get in my way of creating content. And I can sign on that. Take the distribution automation from us, and we'd still be creating content, but I wouldn't have this rush knowing that today an episode goes live today. It's sent on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Today I'm creating the newsletter. So it gives me a rush, and I'm an automation geek, but this shows me the result beyond the geekiness of the automation. It actually gives us value, and it gives the audience value. So it's amazing.
Exactly, the value. That's exactly like this has value like all over it.
Yeah,
it's really amazing, and yeah, indeed, super valuable and like good for human beings, right? But we're also like, you run a business, right? So I was just wondering if you've managed to leverage this wonderful achievement in any way.
Well, I don't think that I've leveraged it as much as it leveraged itself. Because we are getting, first of all, word of mouth that is great, and really people that we don't know are telling us, hey, we're listening to your podcast, we're learning a lot from it. And this woman that I've never met, I don't know her, she just posted on LinkedIn and tagged us and said for the past 2 months, every morning I've been listening to this wonderful podcast, and she tagged us, and I don't even know, and I was so grateful for that, because when you love what you do and you believe in what you do, the best thing that can happen is that it gets to people. So this is amazing in a way that is, I hope for it, but you don't know what's going to happen until it comes. We obviously have still a very long way to go, but I can say that for us, that platform, the podcast platform, is really enabling us to talk to new audiences and reach potential clients. When the talk is, automation is our tool, and it's very easy to confuse the tool with the purpose, with the goal. And in the podcast, we focused on the goal, which is business development, which is working, building better processes, working on what's important, and that message gets through. And it also translates to business in very interesting manners, because people who come after they listen to the podcast, they don't have to agree to all pricing, they don't have to agree to anything, but they have a better understanding of who we are and what we do. And if we click, and if everything aligns well, we also work together. But it really, they're in our mindset. We have a saying at the office, like, he's one of our own, like he's ours. He's one of our people. And we do get that from people who listen to the podcast. So that's great.
Well, that's a pretty good outcome, that's for sure. That's a good leverage.
just good stuff. Just good stuff.
No, this is like truly amazing. And for the millionth time, congratulations. And these colors on this are amazing. I could look at this like all day. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's really pretty. Anyway, I'm gonna unfortunately we need to finish this sometime, but I mean I could talk to you for hours. So yeah, could you, wonderful, the feeling's mutual. So yeah, I'm just gonna kindly ask you if you could walk us through these takeaways, please.
Yeah, I think that I try to kind of tried to summarize, and thank you for designing the deck itself. It looks beautiful. It looks so.
Thank you.
Guys, you don't know how terrible it looked when I was done with it. I just had text here, but it really looks great. Thank you. But I think the basis of it is I wrote here content you love to spread. I think also content you'll be proud to spread, because we're very proud of our podcast. And when you're doing something that you're proud of, the best thing that can happen is that more and more people are exposed to it. Now, that's not saying that everyone like faints from excitement whenever we publish a new episode, but we're very proud of what we're doing. We love it, and really gets us focused on how can we be better content creators and create better stuff for our audience. So really focus on something that you love doing. If you don't like talking for like lengthy conversations, you don't have to have a podcast. If you like to talk in short, you can have a short podcast. And perhaps video is your thing, perhaps blog posts are your thing. I don't know, but whatever it is that you love creating, think of how it can get to more and more people. The automation-based distribution strategy part of it, I think I discussed it pretty thoroughly. I would never have invested an hour and a half per episode whenever we go live. And that would have hurt the podcast. It would have hurt our marketing. It would have hurt we would have reached less people. So really automate what you don't like doing over and over again, and what you're not good at. I'm so bad at setting appointments that thank God for Calendly. I mean, I just screw up. I can schedule a meeting with you for 3 a.m. And not because it's like morning time in your place, it'll be 3 a.m. For you as well, but I'm just that bad at it. So really using tools that help us iterate and improve. Like I said, you don't have to build everything more than once. Really take the time, always improve one thing, just one thing. It can be on a weekly basis, it can be on a monthly basis, it can be on a daily basis, but really always improve just one more thing and enjoy the ride. For us, it's really fun. It's really fun. We love we love having that. We love doing what we're doing. So it's so important to have fun, and like I said, be proud of what you're doing.
No, I love this. I love this. It's and it's very obvious. I mean, whenever like anyone who's hearing you speak knows that this is true, right? That you clearly are happy with what you're doing, and you love the things, and you're just it's like dream come true indeed.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, let me see. Oh, that's what I feared. It is the thank you slide. I wasn't sure. Oh, damn. Okay, well, David, thank you so much for coming in and spending the time with me. It's always a real pleasure to talk to you. Like, really, you're a powerhouse of a man. Like, it's amazing, truly.
Thank you.
We are kind of shooting this interview for our community. So I was just wondering, as the last thing, as like a goodbye, is there anything you would like to say to the Make community? Is there a message you would like to send?
I don't want to rip off Nike because I might get sued, but really with Make and with no code, just do it. Just do something. I won't say just do it. Just do something. Just automate anything that gets in the way of you doing something good. It's so accessible today. It's so easy now. Just automate it. Hey, that's a slogan. Just automate
it. Rolls of the tongue. Lovely. We should
in your face, Nike.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. That's powerful and true. And with that, I am just going to say that for everyone who's watching, if you have not joined us in the Make community, come do that. We're really nice. I promise. You can find the community at community.make.com, and that's where we hang out. I'm just going to move over to the last slide where it says see you next time. And thanks, everyone. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks, David, again. I'm sure we'll talk soon again.
No doubt.
That's what we do. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, Michaela.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.